Good afternoon and welcome to Confident Woman Incubator Podcast. I am your host, Coach Doreen Lettsome Reid, certified business coach to confident Christian women coaches. I coach high-performing Christian coaches 40 and over how to develop a business blueprint to gain clarity of that specific mission, message, mandate, and mantle to market. And we do this through developing our business blueprint, laying a firm foundation with our business structure, policies, procedures to build that business framework and construction so that you can overcome fear, shatter misconceptions, increase confidence, and profit by faith in all things business. So I welcome you to Confident Woman Incubator Podcast. Today, we have some amazing guests that have already been with us. They are ready. This is their first time with us today on Confident Woman Incubator Podcast, and we want to give them a warm welcome. Oh, it's so good to have all of you here. So, Doctor, we're going to start with you, and we're going to go around the table, let everyone introduce themselves, and then we're going to get right to our discussion. So, Doctor, welcome. How are you this afternoon?
Oh, I am doing well. First of all, I want to thank you, Coach Reid, for giving me this opportunity to just be here and share some tidbits in reference to being a Kingdompreneur. And I want to welcome my guests as well. I am known as the Empowerment Doc. They call me Dr. Cedar. That's for short. So if you can't get Amicitia, it's Dr. Cedar for short. And I am a Kingdompreneur, an entrepreneur, retired twice. And I guess as I go along, I can tell you a little bit more about myself.
All right. Well, thank you so much for being here, Dr. Cedar. It's always a pleasure to talk one-on-one with kingdompreneurs because kingdompreneurs are so important to the ultimate businessman. He uses us to advance God's kingdom in all things business. He uses us to advance in the marketplace for his glory. So it's an honor to be called a kingdompreneur. That's not a light title that I take. I've been doing this for 25 years in marketplace ministry. I started in 1996 and I've been coaching for 13 years. So for me, it's my mantle. It's not just what I do, it's who I am. So I really appreciate all of you ladies being here and coming from the Kingdompreneur perspective is what we do here on Confident Woman Incubator Podcast. So I really appreciate all of you ladies for being here. Angela, go ahead and tell us who you are. Welcome to Confident Woman Incubator Podcast. This is also your first time being with us, and we want to give you a warm welcome as well. Angela, go ahead and just tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, and what you do.
Thank you so much. Thank you for this opportunity. I am Pastor Angela Taylor Fisher from Dallas, Texas, and I am a co-pastor with my husband, who's the senior pastor. We have been pastoring now for 17 years, and I am a coach and a mentor and an author. I'm a first-time author back in December, and I'm so super excited about that. And I'm just a woman that loves God and loves people and has a heart for women in business, women in life, women in general. I love to empower, to encourage, pray, and push women to be the best in all that God has called them to be.
Absolutely. So tell us what's the name of your book?
The book is called Fierce Women Roaring into Purpose. It's a great book. I'm actually co-authoring with some other women, and we're telling the women in the book about being fierce and how to be confident in God and how to overcome trials, tragedies, all those things, and finding their purpose. So. And I have a website. If you allow me to give that at the end, I can tell you how to get a copy of the book.
Okay. Well, that sounds exciting. Now, Coach Latrea literally came from Detroit. So she's so busy. She's world traveling. She was with Sean Fair just the other day, and she is here, Coach Latrea. Thank you for joining me today on Confident Woman Incubator Podcast. Always a pleasure to talk to you. This woman right here has such an amazing story. We spent a lot of time together the other week, Latrea, just getting to know one another right before you had to go on the global stage with the Leadership Experience Tour with Sean Fair, who is a global international speaker and guru. So just welcome and thank you for stopping by to Confident Woman Incubator podcast to talk to us. So we appreciate you so much. Go ahead and tell everybody who you are that doesn't know already, right? And what you do.
Okay. Well, first and foremost, thank you so much for allowing me to be a part of your program. As she said, my name is Latrea Russ. I am a disabilities empowerment coach. I work with people with various types of disabilities, young adults with disabilities, as well as parents that have children with disabilities. I do parenting classes. I do independent living skills classes, various types of classes for people with disabilities. I'm also a published author as well. I have three books right now on Amazon. One is an anthology that I wrote with a group of ladies. The other book is a book that I was promoting at the speaking tour. It's called Intimate Conversations with God. And it's actually a prayer book that I wrote during a really difficult time in my life. And it was just my prayers to God. It also has a journal that goes along with that. Yeah, I think that's about it.
You think that's about it? Okay, if you think it's about it, that's okay. All right. Well, it's a pleasure to have all of you ladies here on Confident Woman Incubator Clubhouse. You ladies are phenomenal. One thing about Confident Woman Incubator Clubhouse, our platform is for Christian women coaches, Christian women in business. That is, our platform, because it's very important for Christian women to be able to have a safe space to really talk about different issues. And that's what Confident Woman Incubator podcast is all about. And then we even take it a step further. We invite our listening audience, our viewing audience on Confident Woman Incubator podcast to come and get more intimate with us on Confident Woman Incubator Clubhouse, where we can have a more interactive one-on-one discussion on Clubhouse and really get to know more about each other, how we can share, connect, grow, and build. And then we take it a step further with Confident Woman Incubator virtual experience, which is our 3-day virtual experience coming up for July the 28th, 29th, and 28th, 29th, and 30th. So it's that Thursday, July the 28th, Friday, July 29th, and Saturday, July the 30th. That's a 3-day virtual experience, Confident Woman Incubator, exclusively for Christian women coaches that are inspiring to be coaches or already coaching. And so because I am a certified business coach to confident Christian women coaches from all around the world, I want to make sure that we have a safe space to really get poured into, so that we are at all times in position and condition to serve those that we're called to serve. Because absolutely at the end of the day, the question is, ladies, are you lit? Leader intentionally trailblazing. Are you lit? That is the question. So in order for us to stay lit, to stay ignited with the fire to do what we've been called to do, we have to have a safe space. And that's what Confident Woman Incubator podcast is all about. That's what my platforms are all about. So we're going to start with you, Angela. When you hear that question, are you lit? Leader intentionally trailblazing, what comes to your mind?
Trailblazing, for one thing. That is something that I have been doing and didn't realize that I was doing. It seemed like I'm always the first in my circle. I'm always the first in my family. I'm always the first, in the group to do something, to lead, and to blaze the trail for others to follow. And I have always tried to lead intentionally, with a purpose. Like I don't want to lead just to say I'm the leader. I'm leading with a purpose. It's something that I'm trying to accomplish, and then it's something that I'm trying to leave behind for whoever's coming behind me. So that's what I think about when I hear leading intentionally. That's what I think is so important to me.
Okay, so when you first saw it, when you first just kind of like absorbed it,
Uh-huh.
You really resonated with the word trailblazing. That's what you're saying.
Yes, and leading intentionally. I really resonated with that as well because like I said, I'm not a person that wanted to lead. It was put on me. It was always, you know what I'm saying? Like I would stand behind the scenes and somebody would say, "No, you come forward because it's something about you." Or when I would see others that were afraid, something in me would just push me out there. So I've always led, and I try, like I said, the leading intentionally, trailblazing. I mean, it just really resonated with me. I could really relate to that, Doreen.
Well, you got Coach Latrea over here shaking her head. So let's
Yeah.
see what she has to say about it. What did you think about it when you first heard "Are you lit?" Because it's a question. You have to get really clear on your specific mission, message, mandate, and mantle to market. And if
Right.
we can't answer this question, then it really helps us to get clear. We need to do a examination of ourselves as women in business.
Correct.
So, Latrea, for you, what really resonated with you when you heard the word the question, the actual question, "Are you lit?"
Well, I think as the other lady spoke before, I think Trailblazer really resonated with me because, like her, was never wanting to be the leader. I was always in the background. I was always wanting to be, you know, doing the stuff in the background, and it just seemed like no matter how hard I tried, God was always pushing me to the forefront, always pushing me to the forefront, always pushing me to the forefront. He actually did that in Detroit as well. So so with that being said, what I've come to realize is that when you're creating something for other people to follow, you're the one creating it. So sometimes there's not a door there.
Come
Somebody
on.
has to create that door. Okay, so the trailblazers are the one that creates the door. They are the one that
Yes.
creates the window. They are the one that creates the opportunity. Because whether we realize it or not, there are other women watching us, and they're watching what we're doing, and they're watching what we're creating, and they're watching the way we move. So they can't follow us if we don't create a path for them to
Yeah.
follow us through. If we don't open a door, if we don't create a door, if we don't create a window, if we don't create an opportunity for them to walk in our footsteps, there's no way that they can follow us. And at the end of the day, that is why we're here. That is why we're leaders. God placed us in the position to be leaders so that we can lead people. And if we don't lead people to something, they can't follow us.
And if you're not lit, no one can follow you.
Right.
Right.
So, you have to be lit.
Yes.
The question, "Are you lit?" I'm the visionary behind I'm the visionary behind "Are You Lit?", which is an anthology. But for me, it's more than an anthology. For me, it's a movement.
Mm-hmm.
It's a critical thinking moment that I want every Christian woman that is in business, that is, if you're, you got to think about transitioning from entrepreneurship to kingdompreneur. And we need to start understanding exactly what does that mean. We need to start understanding and having conversations about what does marketplace ministry actually mean, and breaking that down. When we hear that word and that terminology, kingdompreneur, when we hear the terminology, marketplace ministry, what does that mean for me as a Christian woman in business, and how do I do this to advance God's kingdom in the earth? So I think just that's why I created this platform, so that Christian women can not just write a chapter, but actually start building a business and brand. Because if we're not building our business and brand with the intentionality of advancing God's kingdom in the worldwide marketplace, then what are we doing it for? God wants us to be very intentional about advancing his agenda in the earth. And his agenda in the earth is to be in the marketplace. We can't just stay in the four walls of the church. We have
Mm-hmm.
to be in the marketplace. We're supposed to have people on Congress, righteous people as judges, as lawyers, and Congress, making the policies, creating the wealth. we need to have righteous people advancing the kingdom of God in all things business.
Right.
Now, Dr. Cedar, what do you say when you hear the word and the question, when you hear the words, but when they're formed as this very powerful question, are you lit? Dr. Cedar, what do you think about it?
Am I lit? Yes, I am lit. And what I want to say is, as women, Christian women serving, I evangelize, I do outreach mostly to seniors, and I the growth path in our church and in our services. I look as myself as and the other word I would use for trailblazer is a path finder, helping others, empowering others to do things within the Christian community. Now, as Christian women, we have the responsibility to, number one, solve problems. That's how I see it. And I've had, 29 years of service, 12 years in the federal sector, 29 years military. And the way I became the empowerment doc, and that's why I say I'm late. Others will watch you. You don't know when other people are watching you. If you're a Christian woman, you don't have to say, "Hey,
I'm a
I'm a Christian
Christian.
woman."
Right.
They ought to be able to see it in your walk, in your talk,
Yeah.
in the way you make decisions, because we are decision makers. We are not only decision makers in the church and in the community, but we have to be decision makers in our homes first. So, yes, I am lit. I live intentional. I am a trailblazer. You can watch my resume. I've always been the first here, the first there. But the problem that we are solving is really not for ourselves. We are here as Christian women to solve other people's problem, to
Right.
lead them, to help them, to empower them, to grow them, to be better kingdompreneurs. And I just want to say this now, because we are Christian women doesn't mean everything has to be free. We ought to be able to show people how to profit as a kingdompreneur so we can give back more. Where much is given, much is required. And so the more we get, the more we give back. Listen to the prayer of Jabez, enlarge our territory. This is a platform here that Coach Doreen, she is giving women that are kingdompreneurs the opportunity to share globally. And what that does, it enlarges our territory that we may empower other women to become Christianpreneurs and build the kingdom. That's what it's all about, building the kingdom. And in order to build the kingdom, we have to have some strategies. We have to be good decision makers. And we can't just sit behind our desk and say, we must trust God. I always put God first. We must trust God, but we can't just sit down and wait for the opportunity to drop in our laps. We have to take action. And I didn't say anything about my books, but this is one of the books that I have. It says Leadership, Courage, and Confidence. And my chapter in this book talks about that leading women in the spiritual realm.
Okay.
And it's an
So,
anthology, and it's 247 pages, and you have 20 other women that collaborated with us, and it's very good, and you will get a whole lot out of that, but I'll tell you about that at the end.
okay. So let's go back to something here once more time. So we summed up everybody's view of the question, are you lit?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we can't lead, we can't trailblaze unless you have light.
Mm.
Yes.
That's the first step, because the anthology, which is actually a movement to cause Christian women in business, kingdompreneurs, to get a critical moment by asking this question, are you lit? Is really a platform based on Isaiah 61 through 3. And the Amplified, it says that nations shall come to your light. First, he says, arise and shine, for the glory of the Lord has come upon you. And there's gross darkness around you, but the glory is upon you. and then you rise up in that glory, and you should be lit, because then nations come to you. So when we are talking about the global marketplace and positioning ourselves in business, Latrea, how do we position ourselves in business strategically as a kingdompreneur, where we're still able to make money so that we can bring our tithes and offering to the storehouse, that there might be meat in his house? Because
Yes.
for me, that's the reason why I'm in business. I'm not in business for the Gucci, the Louis Vuitton, and all this other mess. I want to be in position that if God wants me to write a $5,000 check, it's not no problem. And when my tithes get to $1,000, that's not no problem. It doesn't, that's not a problem for me. That's a goal for me. So when you hear that, Coach Latrea, what would you say? What would you say are some money making strategies?
I would say some money making strategy. Well, first and foremost is be consistent. That is probably one of the biggest strategies I would say is be consistent, because people are more watch you more than what they people watch you more than what you think they do. And if you're here today and gone tomorrow, you're not very trustworthy. And so, in order to build that trust, you need to be consistent. Once you are consistent, then you build that trust. People are not going to support someone that they cannot trust. So, therefore, you must be consistent in everything that you do, no matter what it is, whether it's posting, whether it's whatever it is, you need to be consistent. And then you also need to, your word needs to be your word. If you say you're going to do something, then you need to do exactly what you say you're going to do.
Yes, I think that is very, very important when you're coming from a Christian perspective, because I think that in worldwide marketplace, people do not think very highly of Christian business owners. They already are assuming that everything is going to be free. They're already assuming that everything is going to be below par. They already have these misconceptions, and it's up to us to position our businesses to shatter those misconceptions.
Right.
So,
And I think a lot of
yeah, go
I
ahead.
think a lot of times, because the label, we slap that label of Christian on it, they automatically assume, or they automatically have that mindset. Okay, I can get something from for nothing here because it's Christian and it's Jesus and it's kingdom and so on and so forth. So I can just come over here and take, and not make any investment into what I'm trying to receive. And we have to, as Christian women entrepreneurs, we have to shatter that myth, because that's the myth out there in the marketplace. And that's why, we have so many Christian entrepreneurs that are not moving up, because they are so afraid to charge. And they're afraid to charge what they're worth. They're afraid to charge what they're worth, because they're afraid that, well, nobody's going to support me because I charge and I'm a Christian woman. And like I said before, when we slap that label, and a Christian is not just a label, but for those out there in the world, they see it as a label. And they think, okay, well, that means that I can come here and I can get all of this quality content and all this quality thing for free, or I can get it for less than what I would pay a worldly person.
Yeah, and I think that's a really good point. But the strategy as a certified business coach that I would like to give to confident Christian women coaches and confident women, Christian women in business is this: you have to get out your sphere. You have to get out of your sphere.
Yes.
Staying in the same circle, talking to the same people over and over and over is not, you're going in a circle. You're not going up. You're going in a circle. So we need to have a ladder mentality, not a
Right.
circle mentality. And
Absolutely.
a lot of Christian women in business are afraid to get out of their circle. And then because you're going round and round and round, that's what's causing you to stay in lack.
Right.
And then you're just constantly going in the gerbil effect instead of the ladder effect. And we have to get. When I started my business, I was not in my circle. When I started this business, I'm the CEO of Divine Connection Network Association, in which I started in 2008. God immediately gave me the mind to get out of my circle. One of my first events was with 5 people. One of my very first speakers in a series of multiple seminars that I had was Marcus Benjamin, who is now a millionaire. Okay. He came to my event. And at that time he was highly sought after. But he came to my event because I knew him. And his wife even came and spoke also for me at another event, because I wanted to get out of my sphere. I wanted to bring the best of the best. And I researched, I followed, I asked. You have not. That's tip number 3. You have not because you ask not. You don't never know who would work with you or help you unless you ask. And that's what I did in my early years. I asked. I'm not afraid to talk to people I don't know. I don't want to talk to everybody I know all the time. I want to talk to somebody I don't know. That's how you get somewhere. That's how you get out of your sphere. That's how you become influential. That's how you become impactful. That's how you get to the bag. And so I wanted to just say that for the confident women coaches that are watching, the Christian women that are watching, these are some basic strategies that you can implement immediately. It's a no-brainer. Like Coach Latrea said, it's a no-brainer. You're going to have to get out your sphere to charge, and you're going to have to overcome that fear, shatter that misconception, increase confidence in order to profit by faith. Dr. Cedar, you'll have the last word, and then we're going to close out.
Yes, I believe that we do have to, as women of God, Christian women, kingdompreneurs, we have to get out of our comfort zone. That circle that you're still in, we have to go horizontally. And I always like to say, when we're going up, we need to take 2 people with us. You have 2 hands. And the fear that most women that I have seen, that I have coached, is they're just fear of being rejected. And as a woman of God, a Christianpreneur, we should trust God first. And that fear, false evidence appearing to be real. It's real for a lot of people, but if you trust God, if you put your trust in God first, I think, he said he will never leave us or forsake us. So it may not be your timing, but everything is in God's timing. So I would like to say to the women too that are listening, get out of your comfort zone, step out, get out of the sandbox and get into the water, the deep waters. Sometimes you will be treading, and then sometimes you just have to swim. But the point is, if you will not grow if you don't start somewhere.
Right. So, Angela, what we're talking about is we're giving some money strategies. So I want you to chime in as well, and then we're going to have to close out the podcast. But we talked about 3 different ways. Coach Latrea gave away, I gave away, and Dr. Cedar gave away. The first thing we talked about was, not having fear of charging. I told them as well that you're going to have to get out your sphere. You're going to have to get out of that circle that you're in. You're going to have to go above. Instead of the gerbil effect, you need to take the ladder effect. Yes. Dr. Cedar chimed in and basically clarified that for us. So what's your money making strategy that you would like to give Christian women that are in business right now, that are maybe struggling, or maybe struggling with the fact that, do I charge or do I not charge? What is your money making strategy?
Hey, first of all, shatter the misconception that money is carnal or selfish or outside of biblical values, because that is not true. It's what people do with money that makes it evil. What does the Bible tell us? Is for the love of money is the root of all evil. And I think if we begin to shatter the misconception that I'm making money, I'm doing something wrong. That's the first. That's overcoming a fear. That's the first thing as a business owner, had to understand, was that God desires for us to have wealth. and to be prosperous, right? Like you said, it's to bless the kingdom. Matter of fact, just to try to sum it up really quick, because I know we're pressed for time, but Ecclesiastes 10 and 19 tells us that money answers everything. So it's biblical. It's not a selfish thing. And if we can get that out of our mind, that having money doesn't mean we're selfish or carnal, that God desires for us to have that, and he equips us with the gifts and the anointing and the wealth and whatever, and the business ideas to make that wealth. If we can focus on that, then we can profit by faith.
Yeah, we need to go back to Malachi 3:10. Okay, it's
Yes.
obvious. Bring the tithe. It didn't
Yes.
say steal tithes. and he literally said, if you don't work, you don't eat. So
You don't
hello, if you have a business, you are working probably 10 times harder than a person that has a regular 9 to 5.
Right.
This shatter, this stuff, when you really do some critical thinking moments, it begins to shatter all of these myths, because the ultimate businessman, who is Jesus Christ, has already told us in the perfect business plan, which is the word of God, how to function in business.
Yes.
He's already said that everything my hands set to do, it shall prosper and give him glory. I've been given dunamis power to create wealth. So what am I to do with the wealth? I am to bring the tithes and the offering in his house, that there might be meat in his house to advance God's kingdom in all things business. That is the message. That is the mission. That is the mandate for every Christian business owner.
Come on now.
Because the gospel cannot be preached with $2.
It cannot.
It costs money to preach
money answers everything.
Yes. Money to win souls. And when we are in position in business and we are making the money, then we are really truly advancing God's kingdom, especially if we are responsible people, like Job was, like Joseph was, with all of these great men and that were business. We don't even see them as businessmen. We just talk about them and don't see them in maybe we'll talk about that another time on the podcast. But it's really, really important that we do shatter those misconceptions. And I'm so glad that we had this conversation in Confident Woman Incubator podcast tonight. This has been really a good conversation. I know we gave a lot of keys to really unlock what's inside you on tonight. And I'm just so thankful for all of you ladies coming in, chiming in, giving your points of view, because the question literally is, ladies, are you lit? And I know that you are. So stay tuned next week to Confident Woman Incubator podcast. Join us on Confident Woman Incubator Clubhouse as well for some more intimate conversation. You can follow me at Doreen.L. Reid. That's Doreen.L. Reid. You can also visit my website, DoreenLetsomeReid.com. You can contact me directly at 843-910-3927. We thank you so much for joining us here on Confident Woman Incubator podcast. And you have a great night. And you know what to do. Drop it in the comment. # the Confident Woman. We'll see you next week.